Hi, I'm Gaby Sandoval.
And I'm Jason Grobstich.
And this is Self-Projecting. Okay,
so this week I made Gaby watch The Taking of Deborah Logan.
Jason watched Silver Bullet.
So I brought The Taking of Deborah Logan because I just thought it's one of the best found footage horrors I've ever seen. And it's a documentary style horror following Deborah Logan as she suffers from Alzheimer's. It stuck with me because I think it's so scary, and I love found footage as well, and I wanted to know what you thought. So that's why I brought it to you, but just keep in mind I won't be changing my opinion on this, because I think it's a masterpiece. This is a movie that freaks me out. Like, there's a shot of her playing the piano that's just like, that's all the shot was, and I'm just like, that remains in my mind forever.
You were there.
And I felt bad, too. I was like, we did lose her. That shot, we were like, whoa, she's gone. She's gone.
No, this is my journey. This movie was scary because it was a bummer.
It is. It's like sad. It's just straight up sad at the end of the day. Like, yeah. Did it land well with you? Were there any moments that you were like, but it is like a documentary style.
Yeah, because like I loved it was a medical student, right? Doing research on someone on Alzheimer's. So we're kind of seeing her project and how cheesy and bad it is. Like,
that's
Alzheimer's,
true.
blah, 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 blah.
It's like she might not get an A. Like, it's actually not structured.
Sweetie, I'm not passing.
I do love the dedication, though. As shit really hit the fan, she was still recording.
Because she's probably getting her master's. And she's like, I need this.
She's like, this is what I'm saying. It's the dark side.
I think that's what I like, because I guess I hate characters who are like, we need to finish. And it's like,
yeah.
There's evil in this house. I'm leaving. She's like incentive of like I paid for school. I kind of need to reap.
First of all, I'm in debt. I'll be honest about that. The student relief is over.
First of all, Deborah Logan's kind of a boss.
She's a boss.
Single mother. Who came into money. Kind of. What if she was like the nexus of the town because she created the.
Yeah. What do you call it? Like
the wires that go, paging blah.
I know what it is. Putting people through on phone calls.
Yeah, so Deborah Logan, all I had to say, Deborah Logan, self-made woman, who then takes matters into her own hand by killing a local
serial killer, yeah.
And then is...
while struggling with her, like, declining brain. She still does that.
Yeah.
Tries to fend off the demon coming in.
Yeah, there's still a fight.
It's sad, but you don't realize it until after you're, because... the perspective they're probably like
the camera team's like, whoa, this old lady.
Everyone's just like annoyed and like, oh my god, she's kind of weird, but like she actually is calling for help, but because she is sick, like they just refuse to look into it anymore.
That's why I'm saying that's a bummer. Like,
which is sad, but realistic, and that's what good horror does. It's like, oh wow, there's like a message here as well, and it's also scaring the shit out of you.
We really do ignore
the
the elderly.
And they're just like, oh, she's like doing this thing again. It's like, get off the counter. And it's like, wait, she shouldn't have been able to climb on there in the first place. So I did feel bad for her because they obviously, she is diagnosed with Alzheimer's at the beginning. But then, like, it is very evident that she's possessed by a demon. And
yes.
At what point would you know it's not Alzheimer's? Would you be like, Because they never quite did until, like, the last third.
I felt like I would have known immediately. See, I think the beauty, what I did love about this film, we're talking about representation, having, like, an older woman.
An older woman lead. Do you think this like movie did a good job too? Because specifically with like women's health, they're always like the doctors are like.
I was just.
I'm not looking at that because when she pukes up literal, it's like soil and worms, and they're like, this could be like.
She's been gardening a lot, right?
Yeah, they're like maybe she's like, are you kidding me? Like she just puked up this like they just literally these doctors were like so adamant about. They're like, but the original diagnosis like. They're like, yes, granted, we've never seen this this, but we're not gonna look too far.
That's why I'm scared to get committed. I'm prone.
Wow.
And also just
vulnerable.
history.
It's her story, sadly.
It's her story. No, this is the tea about this demon.
Yeah.
And the ritual.
Yes.
Which. So for this guy to fulfill his wish, he needed to kill five girls who experienced their first period. Right?
Yeah, which I'm like, okay,
why are we always doing shit like that? Like, we need, like...
It just has to be the most messed up thing ever. Which
it's always a virgin, it's always a girl. It's like, stop.
So he is using Deborah Logan's body to fulfill the final girl he has to kill. So she's up in the hospital already, which worked out for her. And she's, like, going to the... What do you call that section of, like, just the child level? And she literally, like, keeps trying to take this kid, which I'm like, I feel horrible for her. She does look... insane.
This was female representation at its best.
It was.
She's a fighter, truly. And then she actually gets the demon out of her. And then guess what? Alzheimer's was still there, baby. It actually, the stages kept going even though she was possessed. Yeah.
I feel horrible for her because
and
she knows
guess what happened? The demon moved on to the little girl.
Oh yeah, it does that thing where typical like horror movies have to kind of give a
somber,
a little sense. But this one worked.
Like
this one worked. I did. I have no problem with it.
Didn't really need it.
Well, the demon didn't succeed, so it has to keep going.
Or why can't we ever just send them back?
Well, I don't think they have the information there. That's the thing, you need literature to know what to do with demons. Like, I don't know.
I'm really thinking about this. That's why if anyone I know gets possessed, I'm never talking to you. Because they jump. Ooh. And if it's not you, it's someone close by. they always find a conduit.
Sweetie, I'm running.
I'm going away. Well, they're kind of Final Destination about it.
They are.
It just, I'm good.
But that's why I like the ending. I was like, okay, I think that was pretty much still in line with like the...
Still realistic on something we've never experienced. You know what I mean? Like, that's realistic, even though we've never dealt with that.
Well, we've seen in other movies.
But why is that made up? Did that actually happen and someone just ran with that ideal?
I hope so. Well, here we are. And yeah, clearly. I mean, you do have to learn a little bit about the demon, but they didn't overdo it to a point where I was like, why do I know too much now? Why is this the memoir? But they didn't do it. And I appreciate
that. But then also, who the hell is writing these? Like, I always love when they're like, this is blank. And years ago, and it's always parchment paper, hand-drawn photos of like a flame, and we learn his history.
Yeah.
Who got this footage?
That's a good question. Like those books that you see in all those horror movies, like
they're always handwritten.
Like, is that a reputable source? I don't know.
Yeah.
She's a really good actor too.
I was scared because I was
I
was getting sick watching it.
Dialogue in here again. We talk like found footage can sound a little staged,
scripted.
But this, everything they said, I was like, I fully like feel this for sure.
That
just the panic of, and then when she's like, I'm not going up first. You have to go up first. Like she's like, I'm not going up to the attic. I was like, that's so real. Just like, yeah, I'm not.
And then the camera guy, how many attics are in this house?
There were 3 attics, which is like,
yeah.
But that's her. She has the secrets. She has secrets. Anxiety is real. Anxiety is real. I'm actually advocating for anxiety. Like, that's why you can't scare people.
One of our sponsors.
I'm advocating for anxiety.
Thanks for plugging that in.
You're welcome. You made me. You forced me to. You asked me a direct question. So, anyways, the real horror is what happens to us as we age, and how people perceive us.
That was a good attempt at a bookend.
It was. Oh wait, well, what do you get out of 10? Are we doing that?
Ooh, are we doing rating? Are we doing that? Deborah Logues.
Debbie Logue.
Debbie Logue's gonna get a 7 for me.
Okay, that's solid.
Solid.
I love that.
Because like I said, it wasn't... I took it as realism.
How many elderly people are we not listening to or taking seriously?
That's exactly what I just said.
No, you said how many people are possessed in hospice, which is actually very different. Not every elderly person is in hospice.
I feel like being unheard is like being possessed.
Okay, that's something else. That's not what you just said. So thank you. That's more nuanced.
Thank you. Well, I'm learning how to articulate. That's why I'm here. I relate to Deborah Logan.
No one's listening.
Maybe I'm possessed by anxiety.
She's saying the wrong things. Okay. Anyways, let's move on to yours.
Oh my god, so this week I made Jason watch Silver Bullet from 1985. We got Corey, we got Megan, and we got Gary Busey. So I picked this movie because Jason knows I used to bring this movie to sleepovers when I was younger. Stephen King's The Silver Bullet. I think this is a great movie. It might not make you scared as much as Deborah Logan, but for its time and cinematically, I thought it did a great job. But that's just me, so you take it away.
Yeah, it is very 80s horror, but I like it because it's also does this thing of, well, maybe it's just Stephen King because he does a lot of this. It's almost coming of age too. So it's like kind of how I felt with it and like Carrie and stuff. It's like a young person going through something with like amplified horror. So
yeah,
in many ways it is lighthearted because you're like, okay, it's fun. There's a lot of like
there's
montages
that Christian
of him, like,
coming in, the Christian ideology.
What Christian thing did I just say?
The soundtrack.
No, I love the soundtrack though. When it would be like him speeding around on his wheelchair and it was like, I think it was like a flute. I loved that. I don't think that took it out of me. Like, okay.
So Silver Bullet follows the story of Marty, who is in a wheelchair, nicknamed the Silver Bullet that his uncle made for him.
That was a beautiful reveal.
That was a beautiful reveal. And it's in summer. He is obviously fighting with his older sister, as we all do.
Yeah.
And there's people dying in the town, and people are attributing it to. We don't even know what the town's attributing it to. They're getting
I feel like
scared.
they were just like, ooh. Well, the first time it was a drunk, so they were like, okay.
They didn't take it that seriously.
And then it was a...
There was a pregnant woman.
Yeah. She was the
which
next
was powerful.
one. And they were like, oh.
And then a child, which no one really cared about, really.
That was actually crazy.
Yeah, this is actually kind of beautiful. A
Yeah.
drunk, a woman, and a kid get killed. We're not paying attention.
The second those men die...
Second some hunters get killed, this is an issue.
The church organ is
This is an
going.
issue.
Yeah. No,
the cops are involved.
The cops are... No, that was a good point, and I think that is kind of the ending reveal where he was like... So it was revealed that the Reverend is the werewolf, which
yes.
I honestly didn't see coming. So that was a good thing. I feel like I usually pick up on things, but... No. Well, honestly... For half of it, I even forgot a werewolf was a real person as well. So I was like,
yes,
it's just a wolf.
That's beautiful.
Like, what? I was like, are we looking at anyone?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, it can be someone in the town.
Yes,
like that.
so, yeah.
And it was the person everyone trusted, which is actually really messed up.
Which is beautiful.
Yeah. Do you remember first watching it? Like, did you?
I remember watching it as a kid, and the scene that stuck with me the most that scared me was when the lady who's pregnant gets killed, because it was very raw.
That's really good prosthetics, too. I was like, ooh,
she's getting scratched, and she's about to kill herself. It bummed me out that she was like, she's going to kill herself because this guy doesn't want to stand by her and her baby. And I'm like, that's small town realness right there.
It is, yeah.
And, yeah, the deaths always scared me, but a big reason I love this movie, too, it's one of my favorite intros to a horror film, and one of my favorite, like, endings. Because we get the setting, and it's like, ooh, there's a moon, and then someone's head gets chopped off immediately.
Yeah.
And it gets rolled into the railroad. And you're like, I'm on board. And at the end, the anti-transformation of him being a wolf and becoming a human was so great to me as a kid.
It looked great. I mean, it was gross. You're like, oh,
and you hear like the cries like,
yeah, going back.
The Foley was awesome. And then for his eyes to be shot out, and then
the effects really are great, and that's what I miss about the 80s, like, because they were just kind of cusp of like starting it, and it was somehow the best. Because they were playing with so much, and just like now, I don't like CGI like gore as much as.
No, that takes me out completely.
She's like, okay, I know you decided that.
No, and I told Jason this while watching it. I was like, I love this movie because I was jealous that the guy was in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Because that was just me being lazy. I'm like, this kid gets to get wheeled around. He had the little contraption in his house, like.
And he had specifically his uncle was making
motorized
really
which
cool
we
stuff.
love the representation.
That's what horror is so good at. It's like, okay, we're seeing like voices that we don't typically see as leads, and it was great.
We're seeing an old woman with Alzheimer's, and now we're seeing someone who's dealing with a disability. But the gag
making
is
it fun too. I was like, he's having fun, and it's not to him. It's not like a detriment.
But the gag is, the wheelchair saved his life. There's a scene where, if he had not been in a motorized vehicle, being his wheelchair, he would have never made it home. There's a scene where
on foot you're not outrunning that.
Yeah, he would have been dead. He would have been dead.
But because of the fact that he could speed away, like,
and
he saved his life.
Again, talk about great writing there.
And I think it's just beautiful. It's like actually heartfelt. Like,
and then you're dealing with
your disability can be like actually
your strength.
Your strength.
What gets you saved? And then when the Reverend's coming after him, and he's like, "Please help me!"
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Marty, you in there?"
Yeah. Oh my god, I was nervous about that one when he gets locked into the shed. I was
okay,
like, oh, sweet,
we gotta talk about the funny parts. Marty figures out it's the Reverend.
Yeah.
And sends him a letter.
Honestly, I love what he did.
I love the letter. The letter was like, "I know who you are. I know what you've done. Why don't you kill yourself?"
Why don't you go and kill yourself?
The good old days of when you could just say that to someone.
Those are good days?
Yeah, I miss them.
Well, they're good. This is good in this specific scenario where you can be like, hey.
Jason is my publicist. Jason will save it.
Luckily you're editing this too. You can just remove these things.
I'm not.
Oh. Okay, great. No, I mean, it is in a way like, I think it's funny because it's like such a kid solution to this. Like, I can't really do anything, and once again, no one's listening.
No one. The uncle?
This is our through line.
No one listening.
No one is listening to her because she's older, him because he's a kid.
In a wheelchair. My question is, why didn't you expect the Reverend?
Maybe it was because of the like, hey, he's actually trying to help. He was leading the funerals, which is actually really messed up. He's like,
No,
who could have done
that
this?
was a
This
great
is
tactic.
so sad. That's probably why.
It's a great tactic.
But that's why I got thrown off.
Because they did that trope of the nightmare. Because it's
The
like
nightmare where everyone is turning into
the
wolves.
werewolf, and the person who usually wakes up from a nightmare and panic is someone who's struggling because they're the lead. And so we kind of like we're like, oh, he's dealing with turmoil. He could not possibly be like dealing.
But
with
you know,
guilt.
in retrospect, that should have been the sign because at that point it was not confirmed that it was a werewolf.
Yeah, how would he know? He's not talking to Marty.
It's true.
It's a little.
So actually, that's good writing because I didn't. Now I know that this is also something that I was a little confused by. It's my feedback.
Okay, we give feedback.
Is that at the end he's revealing why he killed certain people, but he only really revealed...
being the Reverend.
Yes. The Reverend, who is revealed as the werewolf, is like, I killed that woman because she was about to kill herself, and that's a sin.
I'm not going to kill myself, Marty. This is
Yeah, because he was like, first of all, I'm not going to do that because that's actually what I'm against. A, my moral code. And then B, that's why also I killed her. But then I was like...
You killed Brady.
The kid. A kid flying a kite.
My
only thought, I was going to say, I think it's curfew, but is that a sin? Is that death worthy? I guess the first one too is alcoholic.
That's Old Testament, dude.
What? What part?
Don't kill anybody. A through line I really loved that I think both have is just family. Dealing, because honestly,
going through
the real ones, aka your blood most of the time, will stand by you in times of horror or turmoil because like it ends up being about this brother and this sister who don't get along.
And then
coming
she's
together.
Like, okay, I'm really seeing that he's disturbed by something.
Yeah, because he's like shaking by this near-death experience.
Because she's the one who actually discovers. She goes and looks in the shed and she finds the bat.
So
that was the werewolf took from.
Because she's also narrating. She's like, I didn't know, but I knew.
Yes.
And I knew one thing. Marty believed it. And we were both like, well, she's a good sister. Because she's like, I mean. She's like, my brother clearly is sweating, so I'm going to go do these... And then at the same time, she was working. She's like, I'm going to collect some cans for this food drive.
That was a good guise. She was like... Because she was trying to see whose eye got poked out.
All we knew is that one eye was missing because
Marty... She's
like,
okay, well, I can find someone. So
and that's when you were like, a werewolf is a person.
That is. When I clicked, I was like, oh my god, we are looking for someone. Like, I thought I was...
over here looking for fur.
I was like, why are you looking at people just go out and, like, look in the woods? But
wow, you would have been one of those hunters. That's the Iowa boy in you.
Well, no, I don't think it would have.
You would have been
Well, I actually did condone that. I thought that was a good idea. Because, again, police didn't do anything. So it's like, yeah, the natural next step is, I guess you have to form, like, a gang and, like, go find it. But it
I'm learning about your moral code.
It backfired on them, but I'm not saying it didn't.
No, I'm agreeing. You need a crew.
What else would you do? Your town leader go?
You know me. I think I would have probably left the town.
Okay. What was Silver Bullet really about to you overall? What's your takeaway?
What's my takeaway?
Well, to me, it's very much just like a beautiful comedy.
Why don't you say your point? Because you have one.
I will. It's about. Ask me. I just think it's a good coming of age story about how you're. What did you say earlier? I'm just copying your words. Your disability can be your biggest strength.
Yeah, your disability can be a strength. So to me, there's so much symbolism. I love, like, of the tropes. I do love a werewolf story. Because it's like, you're not in control.
Yeah.
And it's, like, symbolic of, like...
I think that's another through line. It's like, okay, they're both kind of...
Possessed.
But
it seemed like he was caught. But in his case, like American Werewolf in London, and we got Lupin. It's like when they become the werewolf, they're kind of just animals.
Yeah.
They're the purest form of animal that they could be. But he seemed pretty cognizant of what he was doing. He seemed like in control of the werewolf part of himself.
That's true, because he recapped it too. He's like,
I know what I did.
I was this, and then he remembered who shot his eye. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was like, actually...
So that's kind of sick that, like, we saw a werewolf, like, actually be in control and kind of fuck it up.
I was like, why do you even have to do anything? Just sit in your house that night.
Imagine just knowing you could be a werewolf and just being in your house like...
Well, he could have, clearly, and he's like, no, I'm going to use this.
You know what I would have done to been toxic? I would have done a lot of, like, hunting, competitions and won. Like, how did you get all this? I'm like, little did they know I was a werewolf.
You just had to do it on the full moon, right?
No, the full moon just made him stronger. He was able to become a werewolf whenever.
Right,
yeah, and then talk about that. He could become a werewolf whenever he wanted. Versus
True.
Okay.
Okay, that was actually...
Whoa. Little mummo. reflection right here.
But it is actually more fucked up that he he is in charge.
He probably goes outside naked, and because he's like, I'm not gonna go rip up my clothes.
Yeah, true. Yeah, because it would tear every time.
So just knowing this grown ass man goes outside naked,
He goes
and is like,
I'm ready.
I'm gonna go kill someone that is going against my beliefs.
You know what? I've revised my theme.
Okay.
And it
what
is
is silver? Let's do it again.
Thank you.
What does silver bullet mean to you?
I want to quote Into the Woods, and that's nice is different than good.
What?
That song?
Sing.
Little Red Riding Hood sings, nice is different than good. Because you want to, like, the Reverend is technically nice and, like, you can come to him with anything. Doesn't mean he's a good person. And then, of course, always youth, that no one listens to kids. They're like, I don't care about you. Through line is, I think, people don't listen to
Underrepresented voices.
Yes, underrepresented. Or just voices that typically they're like, I just don't believe you at all. I think overall it is just, these movies are good about being like, hey, there's people you should actually be listening to and don't write everything off. Because lives could have been saved.
Casualties could have been undone.
Ask why instead of telling them stop.
Instead of going, go, hey, speak up.
Hey, speak into the mic, actually.
Okay.
Amplify their voices.
This is why I can't be a parent, because if my kid was like, there's someone in my room, I'm like, we gotta move.
Move?
No, I'm kidding. But like, I'm believing
no,
them.
actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was something I really got mad at. When you said I would just move out of a house right away if something weird happened.
Wait, when was this in regards to?
You know, maybe we should cut this for another movie. It was about
Dark Skies.
Maybe I kind of want to bring up Dark Skies next time.
Yeah, let's talk about Dark
Skies. But whatever, if we can find any more.
Mm-hmm. And if anyone wants to come for me and say this movie isn't scary, I would have loved to have seen you see it as a 10-year-old. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay.
I just felt like
thank you for saying that.
Deborah Logan actually might scare you now. This one, actually, maybe, I don't know.
And I think that's the intent.
What's the
As
intent?
a kid specifically, you should be scared and learning.
Mm-hmm.
I can't always trust everyone. Maybe, adults need that too.
I feel like you were always that kid.
I was. I didn't go anywhere.
I'm not.
I'm looking at you. I'm watching you, dude.
I love that.
I love that. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching us self-project.
Please tune into the next episode. We figured out lighting, sound. It's getting better, y'all.
Okay, I'm back.
Oh, this looks so much better, too. Should have had the light on you the first time.
I love my first one's gonna be like, no.
That's indie.
That's indie.